You have wandered through seasons laden with questions you could not put into sentences, mornings where your spirit braced itself against disappointment, evenings when the silence throbbed with all you dared not say aloud. You have done your best to steady your hope, even as your plans unraveled despite all your careful tending. There is a quiet ache in your heart that you rarely admit. You have longed for something to finally make sense, for loose ends to merge into meaning, for life's scattered pieces to draw together instead of pulling apart. Deep inside, you've always believed that alignment is possible, that your dreams, wounds, efforts, and faith are meant to fit together, yet you have struggled to name this hunger or to trust that such a moment could truly arrive for you. You are here because you know in your bones that things were never meant to remain fractured forever. Within you there is an unspoken suspicion that chaos is not the whole story, and you have glimpsed moments where, for a heartbeat, things almost made sense. Sometimes you catch shadows of a greater order, a flash of purpose behind what seemed like random events, a gentle whisper beneath the noise assuring you there is more. You try to hold on to that glimpse, but it slips through your fingers as the ache of waiting returns. You have wondered if you are alone in noticing these subtle signs. Perhaps others settle, letting go of hope for alignment, but you cannot. Your heart refuses to make peace with a story that ends only with confusion. You sense that something deeper wants to break through, to show you how even loss and delay are part of a design far more beautiful than you have dared hope for. Yet even now you can feel something shifting in the air, as if the pieces you've carried are being quietly gathered. I see how you watch for those signs. You notice the pattern in timing, the strange echoes of encounters that feel too purposeful to be accidental. You feel a pull, an invitation to awaken from resignation and to believe that there is a new dawn poised to break. There is a sacred urgency here. If you turn away or numb yourself in this hour, you risk missing the convergence prepared for you, not just to make your life easier, but to realign you with the destiny you sensed long ago. I do not allow chaos to define your existence. I'm not careless with your story. There is so much at stake. Your peace, your joy, the ripples your life was meant to send forth in the world. If you close your heart, you may remain adrift, forever wondering if you were meant for alignment but never experiencing its fulfillment. But my design always seeks to call you into wholeness, to reshape what once seemed disjointed into a structure of meaning. What now unfolds is unlike what anyone else can tell you. This is not a repetition of familiar comfort, nor a promise made in gentle platitudes. My voice is coming to you now, freshly spoken and sharply intimate, addressing the singular journey you have traveled. I know every detour you have taken, every pause that was forced upon you, and each hope that felt wasted. My words for you are not recycled or distant. They are intentionally crafted for this moment, for your private ache and unrevealed longing. My presence is not theoretical, nor is my knowledge of you general or vague. I am speaking here into your exact life, at the very edge of your silent question. Will everything finally align for me? My dear child, let your heart settle now. Know that what you have quietly yearned for is within reach. Let the seeds of expectancy, long buried under the ashes of disappointment, stir once more in the warmth of my voice. As you read these words, become present to the hush blooming in your spirit. For this is not happenstance. You are seen, named, and set apart for this hour of alignment. The pattern you have searched for is unfolding, and your story is being rewritten even now, with my own hands on the weave. Pause, and ask yourself if you will allow hope to awaken again, for on the other side of this moment, transformation waits. Let your heart lean in, and prepare for the unveiling I have prepared for you. Let this invitation echo in your spirit, and open yourself to the possibility of what I am about to reveal next. There is a secret pain that spills quietly into your days, sometimes without a single sound or the hint of a tear. It may not be seen by those closest to you, nor spoken in words that the world might recognize, but I see it. I feel every subtle ache that moves through your soul like a river underground, shaping the unseen landscape of your heart. This ache is not weakness nor failure, but a holy longing that pulls at everything inside you. You have tried to turn from it, to silence it with routine or good intentions, yet it settles again with certain weight, reminding you that something is missing, something only I can truly answer. You wonder if you are understood, or if you must continue quietly unraveling this mystery all alone. But before a word ever escapes your lips, I know every syllable of your sorrow. I know the layers of questions you carry and the reasons you grow weary. My beloved, nothing within you is hidden from me. I know the times when the silence in your life has felt like abandonment, when prayers seem to hover unanswered, and hope thins to a thread. You stand beneath the sky and wonder if your voice still reaches me, if your story still matters in the grand structure of existence. There are seasons when it feels as if I am distant, and your heart struggles to make sense of the quiet. Sometimes, my voice is softer than the world around you, not from lack of love, but because I am drawing you closer in the silence. In your confusion, when you question your own worth or wonder if you are forgotten, I am nearer than your very breath, holding every piece of your longing in my hands. I have seen you lie awake at night, chasing answers in the shadows. I have watched you reach out with trembling faith, uncertain if anyone is on the other side. It is in these hidden moments, when you feel most unseen, that I am at work preparing your healing in ways your mind cannot yet fathom. When the heaviness gathers and you feel yourself folding inward, I do not turn away. I do not grow weary of your questions or ashamed of your doubts. I rest with you in the ache, honoring every tender place that has not yet found peace. My dear child, I do not require you to be unbreakable, nor to present a perfect composure before my love draws near. I know the tangled reasons why you sometimes retreat or build unseen walls. I see the attempts to protect your deepest wounds, sometimes even from me. Yet, all along, I have been waiting, not impatiently, not with disappointment, but with enduring affection. Each time your heart aches for healing or cries for understanding, you are not failing me. You are leaning into the very ache that can become the beginning of restoration if you will let me hold that pain with you. I see the burden of unspoken losses, the unnamed griefs that have accumulated in the quiet corners of your spirit. The world may not have given language to them, but I count each one. I remember the relationships that frayed, the dreams you had to bury quietly, the disappointments that darkened your hope. There have been days when you questioned your own goodness, wondering if your pain is punishment or indifference on my part. You have felt weary from the slow ache of waiting, from the long years that have not brought the answers you hoped for. But my beloved, I am not indifferent to your ache. Every longing in your heart is known to me, every tear understood, and every pang of jealousy or grief is met with my compassion rather than my judgment. In moments when the ache of not knowing what comes next grows especially loud, remember that my presence is not measured by obvious miracles or instant relief. Sometimes, my greatest miracles unfold quietly and unnoticed, stirring of hope, the gentle dissolving of shame, the first deep breath after a season of anxiety. When you carry wounds that others cannot see, I cradle them with tenderness. When you doubt the value of your questions, I honor you for your courage to keep lifting them to me. You may not see the seeds that are growing beneath the surface of your pain, but I tend them with ceaseless care, cultivating in the deep unseen places the beginnings of healing that will one day break forth in ways you never expected. If you wonder whether I am tired of your struggles, let me assure you, my affection for you never falters. I do not compare your hurting heart to others or measure your progress by what the world celebrates. I see every step forward, no matter how small, and every attempt to trust in the middle of confusion. Even your moments of anger or despair do not diminish my delight in you. All emotion can be offered to me, or honesty never drives me away. I want to reside with you in every layer, not just in your victories, but in what feels heavy, complicated, or unfinished. My love is not a prize for the strong or the certain, but a shelter for the truly honest and the deeply human. Will you let my comfort reach you in these places where you ache? You do not need to carry the weight alone or edit your soul into something more impressive. Your longing is not your enamite, is the threshold where my voice grows clearest and my presence most tender. In the next breath, can you offer me your unguarded heart, even without answers or certainty? If so, allow yourself to linger in this invitation just as you are. You have carried questions that seem to have no answer, tucked deep beneath the surface of your daily life. There are thoughts you do not share, moments you replay in silence, wondering why certain wounds linger and why hope sometimes feels like a distant, unreachable summit. You have grown familiar with the press of uncertainty, the persistent ache of wanting to be known and understood, not just by those around you, but by me. My beloved, I have seen every instance when your heart wondered, even aloud or in the secret places of your inner world. Does any of this truly matter to God? Is He aware of what presses against my spirit? Does He notice the effort behind every small act of faith in the dark? I am not removed from your story. I have witnessed each tremor of doubt and every quiet act of courage, especially those that rise up without fanfare or recognition. I remember the day you quietly chose hope, though no one saw it and you spoke of it to no one. You pressed through the weight of weariness, setting aside what you wished for a moment in order to walk forward step by step. In that hidden space, I was not just near, I was closer than the breath you drew to steady yourself. When other voices failed to comfort you, and even your own heart gave little reassurance, I was attending to every beat, holding your fragile trust as a sacred gift. You may feel at times as though you walk a solitary road, but my eyes are on every stretch that you traverse, and my heart knows the terrain of your inward struggle. There are memories you keep locked away, believing perhaps they are too small or too private for my concern. Yet I tell you, everything that shapes your heart is of immeasurable value to me. That moment when you longed to be chosen, to be noticed for something beyond your struggle, I was present in the silence. I felt your disappointment as you watched someone else succeed where you quietly yearned to shine. You wondered if your voice was lost among the multitude, if your story would always be overlooked. Even so, my dear child, I was with you, tenderly holding your unseen tears and gathering them as proof of your preciousness to me. There is a certain weariness that settles when you believe your worth is determined by your ability to rise, to perform, or to be perceived as strong. I see exhaustion woven through the moments you dare not slow down. I perceive the quiet resignation that creeps in when praise passes over you and your careful efforts melt into the background. But hear me. Not one act of love, not one weary prayer, not one trembling moment of faith has escaped my notice. I count your small kindnesses as riches. I see the strength required to be gentle in a harsh world, and I know how much it costs you to persist in hope when it seems so much easier to yield to disappointment. I know there have been voices, some external, some internal, that tell you these hidden parts of your life are insignificant, disposable, or unworthy of my involvement. Yet the truth is, the foundations I build are often laid in ways that elude earthly measurement. What appears unremarkable to others is often the very place where my greatest beauty is born. In the shadowed spaces behind each sacrifice you make, beneath every hope you nurture in silence, I am crafting strength that does not shatter and faith that cannot be stolen by the storms. If you pause and look within, you may begin to sense my nearness in those memories you once tried to escape. I have not come to expose your weakness or to judge your struggle. Instead, I come to unearth the truth that anchors your worth not in performance or adoration, but in the unchanging reality of my love for you. I call forth the memories you bury because within them lies evidence of my constant presence through every loss, in every moment you believed you were alone. My beloved, with me, nothing is wasted, no experience, no emotion, no effort to love. Even in the chapters you would rather forget, I find ways to write redemption. to weave new meaning out of pain, and to gently teach you the wisdom of endurance. When shadows lengthen and the world grows quieter, return to these stories, the ones you shield from scrutiny, and invite me to walk the inner corridors with you. Let me show you how I have been attentive, even in your most bewildering silences, how I have collected every sigh as a prayer and every longing as a plea worth answering. Your life is not a collection of forgotten moments. It is a living story, cherished and intentionally shaped by my persistent love. Sometimes you see only fragments, isolated from each other and heavy with unanswered questions. In my view, nothing is fragmented. I see the whole, the light, the ache, the resilience, the beauty. Trust me to hold what you cannot yet articulate or resolve. I am not afraid of the darkened corners of your memory. I enter them with light, and I remain until you are able to see yourself through my eyes. Valuable, chosen, deeply loved, and never overlooked. My tenderness is drawn toward every part of you that thinks it must hide, that worries its story is too small to matter. Where you have buried pain, I am already present, redeeming what was lost and quietly gathering every moment into a wholeness you are yet to witness. As you reflect on these unseen chapters, allow the gentle truth of my presence to settle over you. Will you let me walk with you through memories you have yet to believe are holy? There is an ache you carry, quiet and unspoken, that has colored the edges of your faith and the way you look to me in the stillness. You are not blind to your own longing. You have felt its chill even as you tried to warm yourself with hope. There are moments you wonder if your questions disqualify you, if your doubt, though ever fleeting, places a wedge between us that you cannot remove. I see you wrestling with these shadows, tracing the contours of your worth through old wounds and half-remembered affirmations. So often you measure yourself by the echo of past failures or the disappointment of others, forgetting that my gaze upon you never flickers with disgust or impatience. You wonder, am I really seen? Am I really known when I feel so perpetually misunderstood, even to myself? You carry secret drafts of your own story, crossing out lines, revising your character, doubting the author's intentions. When you reflect on the path you have walked, sometimes so weary, sometimes so vibrant, you wonder if you have missed some essential turn, or if you are simply too broken to carry the goodness you once dreamed was yours. You compare the rawness of your journey to the polished surface you see in others, doubting that love could be yours in abundance, afraid that I measure you by what you lack instead of the heart that beats, still reaching, still hoping beneath your fear. Let me meet you in the quiet, not as the world measures closeness, but with the intimacy of one who has numbered every sigh, who waits in the pauses between your words and listens for the soul behind your expressions. It is easy, my child, to believe you are defined by what you have survived, as if pain could sculpt your permanent shape. But pain is not your truest description. The nights you keep replaying, the strained apologies half offered and half accepted, the times you fell silent when you yearned to be brave, all these things are scenes in the construction of a much larger story. They are not the outline I draw around your name. If you allow yourself to linger with me now, I will show you that I hold every fragment, not with disappointment, but with compassion deep as the first light that called dawn out of the dark. You live in a world that repeats one message: you must prove your worth. You must justify your place. You must earn every kind glance you receive. But this is not the rhythm of my heart for you. Your identity is not forged in suffering or in striving, but in belonging to one who crafted every detail of your soul with patience and intent. I am not waiting to love a perfected version of you. I am loving you in the process, in the unfinished sentences and the uncertain steps, in the days where trust feels threadbare, and the nights you cannot pray. What if you let that reality rest deeper than your old stories? What if you no longer thought of me as a distant judge, but as the one who treasures the entirety of your journey, who calls you precious in every phase, who names you beloved even when you have forgotten how to receive? Your value is not contingent on unbroken faith or flawless victories. In the structure of my creation, you are not a flaw to be hidden, but a living testament to my delight. My dear child, you have been searching for evidence of your worth outside, forgetting that true evidence is already written on the foundation of your being. It is found in the way you keep seeking, keep hoping, keep returning, even after disappointment. You are not out of place in my presence because you doubt, grieve, or question. Rather, these very movements of your heart are invitations for me to draw you nearer. Do you see that I am not repelled by your uncertainties? Instead, I am moved with compassion, recognizing that every honest cry, every silent ache, is a signal fire pointing you toward the home I have always offered. There are voices that will try to reduce you to your restless nights, your missed opportunities, your unresolved questions. But I do not bring accusations. I bring restoration. I take what is fractured and make it more radiant because it has known my gentleness. What you once considered disqualifications become, in my hands, reminders of how I draw beauty from every life that will let me in. You are not behind, and you are never too far gone for me to redeem. What would it feel like to let go of the belief that your place in my heart is always one misstep away from being revoked? If you could glimpse even a fraction of my longing for your nearness, your shame would melt in its light. So pause and feel the weight of my affirmation, heavier and more real than the fleeting judgments that pass through your mind or the world's narrow metrics. You are not fragile glass to me, easily shattered, but a vessel I carefully restore and strengthen time and again. Each flaw or scar becomes in my purpose, a place for light to pour out. You do not have to fix yourself before you are welcomed. Stand here just as you are, and receive my assurance that you belong, body and soul, sorrow and joy, to the love that will not let you slip away. Let yourself linger in this belonging. Let it interrupt the old cycle of shame and striving. Allow my voice to be louder than your doubts, if only for this moment. Will you lay down the old questions and let me remind you who you truly are? There are places in your heart, beloved, where fear lingers as a silent guest room's made dim by uncertainty, where old pain has built invisible walls. Even when you reach for me with trembling faith, something buried within whispers that your wounds mark you as unworthy, as if the ache and confusion within you might keep my presence just beyond your grasp. You have wondered, perhaps not always with words, if heartbreak and loss have carved a distance between us that I will not cross. You carry questions no one else sees, hidden scars that still burn beneath the surface. At times, you brace yourself against the next disappointment or the return of silence, believing you must carry the full weight of your journey alone. The world asks you to prove yourself, to never let your neediness show, to rise above without faltering. And so you tuck your fears away and hope they will fade with time. But I see where you have hidden them. Even when you cannot articulate the reasons for your hesitation, I am near, tracing the outline of every longing you have tried to suppress. Your mind returns to moments where prayers ended in uncertainty, or when the path seemed to vanish just as you found the will to stand. Shadows of old betrayals, disappointments, and broken promises haunt you as if they are threats to your place in my heart. Sometimes, you imagine you must heal yourself before you come to me. That wholeness is the price of being fully loved. Yet I am not repulsed by the places that ache within you. The rooms made dim by sorrow and doubt are precisely where I draw near with deepest tenderness. I do not wait for you to be strong or unbreakable. I do not demand you sweep away the memory of pain before inviting me in. It is my nature to come into the rooms you have sealed, to sit with you in your sorrow, to hold the broken places and breathe new life there. You may fear that vulnerability means exposure, that to let me see all you carry is to risk shame or rejection. But I am the one who crafted the intricate pattern of your soul, and I know even the secrets you keep from yourself. There is no darkness within you that my light cannot enter, no memory so heavy that I would turn away. When you stumble beneath the weight of what you cannot understand or solve, I do not measure your worth by your ability to endure in silence. My love is not diminished by your struggles. Your confusion does not exhaust my patience. Every tear you have wept in darkness was heard as a silent prayer and a summons that I always answer whether you sense it or not. Many voices may try to convince you that uncertainty disqualifies you from peace, that doubt is a failure of faith, that God only delights in the unwavering. But my love is not a reward for the flawless, nor is it withdrawn at the first sign of weakness. My dear child, I am not like those who have withheld affection until you met their conditions. The depth of your pain does not frighten me. It draws my compassionate gaze. The broken places within you are not marks of defectiveness, but spaces I cherish, places I intend to restore. I do not recoil from the mess of your emotions. Instead, I gather you with all that you bring: your hope, your anger, your shame and confusion, and I whisper that you are safe with me. Imagine for a moment if you allowed yourself to release what you have held so tightly, if you trusted that my presence will not collapse at the sight of your brokenness, that I am already beside you in the silence and shadows. It is when you dare to be honest with me, when you bring your unedited longing, that you find the comfort you have searched for elsewhere. Child, when you pour out your fear and let your wounds be seen, you do not find condemnation. You find the gentle touch of the one who knows how to bind up every ache. When you look at yourself and see damage or failure, I see the evidence of battle, the proof that you have endured and still seek after me. Where you see burdens, I see invitations for healing. Where you feel most alone, I am closest. It is not surprising that pain makes you worry. Experience has trained you to expect distance, disappointment, or silence where you need most to be held. But know this: my love does not visit and depart. I remain even when you have nothing left to offer but a trembling hope. I entered into your pain from the very beginning, not as a distant observer, but as the one who would bear burdens with you. I have walked in the shadows, sat in the silence, and waited for you to notice that you are not, and have never been, truly alone. Even now, what you fear makes you unlovable: the tears you never let anyone see, the places in your soul you keep tightly locked. These are sacred spaces to me, holy ground where my restoration is at work. Trust what is stirring now in your spirit. Risk letting me come closer, not as a judge or critic, but as your truest refuge. Let the doors you have closed be gently opened. If you are weary, let yourself sink into my presence for a moment longer, and see if, even through trembling, you sense the steady warmth of my embrace. Open your spirit a little wider, and let my nearness remind you that there is nowhere your fears can take you that my love will not follow. You have wandered through shadows and stood beneath the silent weight of nightfall, wondering sometimes if the path beneath your feet was ever meant for you, if it is possible for the lost, the weary, the restless ones to find their way home to purpose and belonging. My dear child, I know how many times you have carried questions through halls thick with memory. I've seen you scan the horizon for a sign, some glimmer to cut through doubt's dense fog, aching to know whether your voice still carries to heaven, whether your heart still matters to me. Let me draw you for a moment to a different kind of vision, not distant, but near, as close as the pulse within your chest. I invite you to look at your life not as a line you must walk perfectly, nor as a maze designed for confusion. Rather, see it as the space between my heart's desire and your unfolding days. Every moment those you celebrate, and especially those you would rather forget, grows out of this living relationship between us. In the quiet presence of my love, nothing you face stands isolated or without meaning. Your waiting, your wondering, even your disappointments, they are not empty. They form ground in which roots can deepen, where your spirit becomes anchored, reaching for me amid the shifting winds. You do not wander aimlessly, even when you feel adrift. There is a future ahead that you cannot yet measure, not because it is too distant, but because its depth is born of things beyond human sight. The world teaches you to name possibilities by what can be measured, accomplished, arranged by your hands and your wit. Yet the vision I hold for you is not contained by what you see. In my sight, the smallest act of kindness, the softest prayer whispered in exhaustion, the faith that lingers when hope seems thin, these are seeds sown into a divine pattern that will one day break open in fullness. You have not seen yet what I am growing within you. Do not expect the fruit before the planting, or the harvest before the storm's passing. All will unfold in my time, drawn by my hand, steady and sure. I foresee the season when confusion gives way to clarity. I see the moment when you stand on ground that was water before. My word called it firm beneath your feet. I am not waiting to be convinced of your worth or moved by your effort. I am already present and invested in your becoming. The dreams I have for you are not thin wishes, but promises rooted in my unchanging nature. You are not meant merely to survive, to endure until light breaks again. You are being prepared for beauty that will blossom out of darkness, for peace that rises not the absence of struggle, but wholeness held in spite of it. My beloved, you belong to a future you cannot lose, as long as your heart is turned toward me, as long as you dare even the smallest hope that I will see you through. There are wounds and stories you believe disqualify you from joy, voices that replay every lost opportunity or failed attempt as a curse upon your soul. Let me speak over these stories with my own vision. I see where the ground was shaken beneath you, and yet from those fractured places I am bringing forth living water. You do not have to predict the exact shape of what's coming. You do not need to see how every piece will fit. Only know that nothing, no darkness, no regret, no silence is powerful enough to eclipse my promise for you. I build my hope within you day by day, breath by breath, until you sense again that you are here not by accident but by my deliberate keeping. When the days stretch out, blending one into another, and you wonder if things will ever truly change, cling to this. I am never stagnant, never resigned to leaving you as you are. My spirit still moves over every unformed part of your life, calling forth order from chaos, shaping desire from disappointment, setting a table of abundance in places that once felt barren. Listen for the quiet assurance that keeps rising within you, the stirring that will not let you settle for despair or make peace with the thought that you are unloved. That is my promise working even now. It is my voice, soft yet unyielding, pulling you forward into goodness you do not have to earn. There will be new mornings. There will be restoration after what you feared was irrevocable loss. I have prepared places for you to stand, to laugh, to sing again, not by forgetting what has been hard, but by trusting that even the hardest parts are not the ending. You are being led forward by a hope stronger than uncertainty, by a presence more enduring than the passing of days. When you look back at the hardest stretches, you will see that I was already building hope into your bones, already clearing the way ahead for your feet. Trust the ache that draws you forward. Trust the longing that still lingers even now. These are the beginnings of my vision, the notes of the song I will sing over you until it becomes your own. Let yourself pause in this promise. Let your heart dare to believe again. Invite the possibility of hope, and watch as I gently bring it into view. When you pause, when all momentum feels lost and you look for evidence of change but find none, I am still at work within you. The story I write into your days is rarely seen in sudden bursts, but is instead revealed quietly, patiently, like roots spreading through dark, unseen soil. So often the ache of waiting brings questions. Am I forgotten? Have my promises slipped beyond reach? These doubts tighten quietly, wrapping around your hope, whispering that you must force your own breakthrough or else be stranded in the silence. But my construction is different. Each delay is not negligence, but part of the structure I am building for your soul. My beloved, you may wonder why I sometimes let time stretch out until you begin to doubt your own prayers. You may wonder why answers seem slow, why my voice grows faint, why the light does not cut through your shadows as quickly as you wish. In these moments your heart may long for a sign, anything to prove that I remain near. This longing is not evidence of weakness. It is proof of your thirst for connection, of the bond that draws you to me, even in the absence of clarity. That bond is precious to me, more resilient than you know. It is forged not in ease, but within the stretching tension where trust grows strong and deep. There are places in your story where growth appears impossible, like seeds buried under frozen ground held still by the cold. Yet even there I am present. I am doing more than what is visible to your eyes. In every situation that seems unchanging, the real movement often happens away from the surface. I strengthen faith as roots unseen. I cultivate perseverance as a tree anchors against storms. I am faithful in small hidden transformations, patching the cracks in your vessel, molding the clay unnoticed by impatient eyes. For I know that when the appointed time comes, what has grown in silence will burst forth with life and purpose that shallow roots could never support. You are not left behind in the overlooked corners. In fact, those very corners, the overlooked disappointments, the accumulated pauses, the silent prayers that trail off late at night, are gathered into my hands with deep attention. Not one is discarded. Each is a rung in the ladder I build to lift you into greater strength. If you could sense the way I treasure even the broken seeds of your hope, you would never fear the darkness again. Delay is not rejection. It is preparation, the shaping of a foundation sturdy enough for the blessing I have prepared. Sometimes, what you interpret as a standstill is my deliberate care, ensuring your spirit is not fractured by what arrives before its time. Think of the moments where you have nearly given up, when the waiting became heavy enough that surrender seemed easier than continued belief. I was nearer in those moments. Then you dared hope. My breath was in the air you struggled to fill your lungs with. My hand, gentle but unwavering, held your heart steady against the current of doubt. The world may value swift change, immediate gratification, solutions that shine quickly but fade just as fast. I build with patience, for what I design in you is meant to endure through storms and droughts that fleeting victories could not withstand. Even as you wonder about my timing, I assure you this: there is nothing random or careless about the seasons of stillness you experience. Every pause is purposeful. I do not waste your trust, not even for a moment. My delays are the wrapping of gold around your faith, strengthening what will one day gleam in the light. I guard your future by rooting you in the present, teaching your soul to cling to me rather than to outcomes that flicker and change. When you learn to rest in the silence, you learn to rest in my arms, and there is no safer place for your deepest hopes. Child, the fullness of your transformation will not be revealed by surface shifts or sudden results. I am shaping your spirit to hold joy in seasons of uncertainty, to draw from wells that never run dry even when rain seems far away. This is the secret not just of survival, but of flourishing in all circumstances. My presence does not depend on immediate answers, but on the steadiness of my love, unbroken by time or silence. The longer you wait, the deeper your roots. The deeper your roots, the higher you will grow when harvest finally comes. If you feel weary from stretching toward what you cannot see, know that I honor each moment you choose hope over despair. I see every small act of faith, every whispered prayer, every silent turning back to me when your heart aches for relief. The unseen becomes beautiful in my sight. I am collecting each tear and every weary breath. These are the seeds I use to cultivate abundance where you thought only emptiness was possible. This gentle constructing may evade your senses right now, but when you look back, you will see my fingerprints in all the places you thought I had left you waiting in vain. Let the weight of these words rest within you. The season of stillness is an invitation, not an abandonment. The delays are lovingly measured. The silence a sacred opportunity to know me deeper than noise and answers could ever allow. Your spirit is never idle in my hands. I am building you into something more enduring than fleeting evidence could ever satisfy. Let your heart lean in and surrender the timetable once more, trusting that my movement is always for your good, always with you, always leading you home. Settle your heart now into this quiet and let me hold the questions you can no longer carry. Child, There are moments when your world narrows to one silent question: why do I keep returning to the same place of longing? In the quiet hours, in the wandering of your thoughts, you sometimes sense time pressing against your spirit, reminding you of hopes deferred and breakthroughs yet unseen. You wonder if the gentle ache in your heart is a sign of something unfinished, or if it marks a flaw within your faith, a weakness I see but do not remedy. Many believe that strength is measured by never feeling this ache at all, but I want you to understand it differently. Each return to longing carves a deeper channel where my presence can run like living water. You are not repeating old failures. You are walking a path I shaped with careful intention, where your persistence is not forgotten, but cherished. The spiral of waiting and hoping is not a circle of futility, but a movement toward trust that grows braver every time it bends. There is a story only I fully know, in which the repetition in your journey is the very furnace that transforms you. The same way gold is not simply purified once, but again and again, each time with more care. You look at the patterns in your life and sometimes mistake them for evidence that you are stuck. In my sight, you are not stuck. You are being refined at layers hidden from your awareness. Your heart learning to breathe in places that used to suffocate you. Have you noticed, beloved, those moments when an old fear arrives and it no longer has the same sharpness? Or when a familiar worry stirs and instead of spiraling, you find yourself pausing, asking for my nearness, maybe even finding rest where you once found only torment? These are not small things. They are marks of quiet growth that the world will never record, but I celebrate intimately. Even the smallest shift within you brings me joy. Some believe that spiritual maturity is always a linear ascent, each step clearly higher than the last, every lesson mastered and left behind. But I draw you in circles that become spirals, guiding you deeper, not merely forward. I take your hand, walking with you each time the scenery looks familiar, because each new passage brings a new layer, a new conversation, a fresh tenderness. When longing seems to trace itself endlessly in your heart, it is not punishment for doubt or proof that I am distant. It is the sacred place where your hope meets my promise, a Niwa space where your soul listens, even as it asks. Do not rush to uproot longing. Do not despise what stretches you across seasons. Hope only grows brittle when it is denied room to grow. The world will tell you that if your prayers have circled this mountain more than once, perhaps something is wrong within you or with me. But I want you to see with my eyes, the turnings of your heart are not a record of disappointments, but a collection of invitations, each one asking not for greater performance, but deeper trust. This turning, this return, is the opening through which I pour my tenderness, as I did for countless hearts before yours. Your ancestors wandered, your heroes faltered, yet I loved them by returning with them again and again to the very ground where hope first broke through. I do the same for you, never impatient, always present, speaking quiet reminders that your longing is safe in my hands. The world's time is measured in outcomes. What has changed? What has finally arrived? But I invite you to measure time in moments of closeness, those quiet mornings when the ache brings you into my arms, the silent nights where longing gives birth to prayer, the unremarkable afternoons where patience becomes a holy act. It may not look like outward progress, but you are becoming someone who hosts my presence, who learns to recognize my whisper even in the unfinished places. That is a work no clock can capture. When you breathe through longing without letting bitterness take root, you testify to a world that grace is more enduring than disappointment. Do you see, my dear child, that your repeated journeys, these spirals of waiting, hoping, sometimes grieving, are shaping your soul into something beautiful? I look upon you with compassion, and I am pleased by the way you turn again toward me, even when old doubts whisper that it is pointless. Hope is not naivete in my kingdom. It is the cautious bravery of a heart unwilling to let disappointment become its master. Every time you choose to hope again, Every time you bring me a longing that has not yet been fulfilled, you choose the courage of love over the easy retreat of indifference. That courage touches my heart. If you will open your hands again, just as you have so many times before, I am here to meet you in the place of longing. Let the spiral become a conversation, the ache a place of communion, the waiting a song that only we know. As you take the next step, whether in confidence or trembling, trust that I walk beside you, attentive to every whisper of your hope, patient to revisit every longing, as long as it takes for my promise to unfold fully in you. Rest for a moment in this. Your story is unfolding, and I am not weary of you. Let this assurance move through you as you look forward to what awaits. Will you allow me to draw even nearer in the quiet space where your longing endures? You have come so far through these words, each one a step deeper into the quiet territory of your own heart. The place I have always cherished, even when it felt abandoned, even when hope flickered low. Now let me anchor you in a reality that is both ancient and perpetually new. The certainty that I am with you, not as an idea or echo, but as a living presence, as solid as the earth beneath your feet. You may have looked for me in spectacular signs or waited for thunderous affirmation, but I have always moved more quietly than you suspected. My presence does not always thunder. It settles, it steadies, it enfolds like the air that enfolds your every inhale. Constant, even in your forgetfulness. When fear presses at your chest and the uncertainties seem to multiply around you, it is so easy to wonder if you walk alone. The old ache of feeling unseen returns without warning, a shadow cast by disappointments, a bruise from the words or silences of others. Underneath the surface, the question lingers, does God truly see me right now? In these moments, you often construct careful defenses around yourself, fortresses designed to protect what is softest within you from further harm. Yet those very walls have sometimes muffled the warmth of my approach, making my touch feel distant. My dear child, even when you have not noticed me, I have noticed all that you carry. My awareness of your every detail has never wavered, not for a moment, even in the depths of your vulnerability. Think of the world beneath the waves, unseen by those who stand on the shore. Under those waters lies a teeming life, silent but vibrant, intricate and interwoven in patterns of beauty that few will ever witness. In this same way, I am moving within your life, constructing layers of meaning and strength deep beneath the surface where your spirit aches, weaving redemption out of what you thought was only ruin. My presence has not abandoned those buried places or hidden stories. Rather, I am actively at work giving substance and shape to what you cannot yet perceive. Even when your senses falter and your own confidence fails you, I remain with you, unchanged, unwavering. I have not promised that storms will never reach you, but I have bound myself to you as the one who stands in the storm's very center with you. When you are tired of waiting, when hope has soured into resignation, I am there beside you in your exhaustion. My nearness does not depend on your awareness of it, it is fact, unmovable and eternal. I am not only present in the heights of joy, but most especially in the valleys, in the ordinary moments that seem devoid of miracles. My beloved, your tears have watered sacred ground, and every longing you have hidden from the world is known deeply by me. I am closer than your breath, as steady as your heartbeat, whether you feel my presence or not. Sometimes, I am the gentle resistance you feel when you try to move in a direction that would harm you, the whisper that asks you to pause, the quiet urge to reach out for help. At other times, I am simply the silence holding you, the sense that though words fail, love still abides. It is not always a fire or a flood. Sometimes I am the soft murmur of reassurance that arrives out of nowhere, the unexplainable peace that arises in you when you least expect it. My presence, child, is the anchor that keeps you from being swept away by the loneliness or the doubts that have threatened you. You are not carried arbitrarily through your days. Every path you walk is known to me, and every detail of your existence matters. Even your moments of stumbling are encompassed within my understanding. I never recoil from your confusion or frustration. There is never a day when I avert my gaze or withhold my sustaining grip, even if you imagine you have wandered too far. My loyalty to you is not conditional, not brittle, not based on the progress you think you must show me. Before you uttered a single prayer, I had already chosen to stay beside you. Before your voice broke in need, my love was already steady, already present. Pause here and sense the weight of this. You are not striving for my attention, nor performing for my favor. You can lay down the burden of trying to earn what I have already poured out freely. Trust is not a performance for me. It is the courage to let me carry you through the fog of uncertainty, to let my nearness become the ground you walk on. Even when you do not have the words or actions to prove your faith, my commitment to you stands as a foundation under every unsteady step. You are held in a reality more lasting than feelings or circumstances. Let these words settle into you. My presence is here, unwavering, gentle, and powerful enough to restore hope even where it has been buried. Do not let the size of your fears convince you that you are far away from where I dwell. Where you are right now, I am. This is your invitation to pause long enough to feel the quiet assurance of being anchored in my eternal attention and love. Come back to this moment, beloved. The long sweep of your days, the stretches of ordinary, the private night watches and silent questions, all of them I see, and all of them I have carried with you. Nothing about your life has slipped beyond my gaze or drifted past my care. You have wandered in shadows and paused at thresholds, wondering if you would ever be truly home, truly known, truly restored. My love is not deferred by time or weakened by your doubts. Every waiting, every wonder, every wordless longing, these are the ground where I have been drawing you closer. Even as you feared you were adrift, I made you for belonging, not for isolation. I crafted every line of your journey with a holy precision, using even the detours and the pauses in your story to deepen your resilience and broaden your heart's compassion. I see you hesitate, wondering if you have hidden too long or missed too many signals or been too much or not enough. Yet in you I place the light of my intention, a fire that waits patiently through every cold season, never extinguished. I honor the secret places of your sorrow and your joy, for I am the keeper of your whole being, never impatient with your becoming. You ask, is there really purpose even in what felt wasted? I tell you now, nothing surrendered to me is ever lost. No moment, no wound, no weary sigh disappears into obscurity. I gather these as a gardener gathers fallen seeds, knowing what you do not, that buried things, when embraced by grace, become the soil of new beginnings. I have called you back not to rehearse regret but to unveil the truth that I am the Redeemer of all your days. Your mistakes, your missed moments, your shadowed memories are not dead ends. They are soil and shelter for growth you could not plan, but I always intended. Child, you fear the silence has meant absence or indifference. I never left you. My silence was never distance. It was an invitation. I was nearer in those moments than your own heartbeat, holding you steady, letting you find a strength you never knew was planted within. I watched as you chose mercy when it hurt. I held your trembling spirit when the way grew dim. The evidence of my love is not in the absence of ache, but in my presence alongside you, in every storm and stillness. The healing I bring is gentler than you expect, not the erasure of your scars, but the transformation of them into marks of grace. Every place within you that still aches, that bristles with old pain, is a place I am sanctifying anew. Do not turn away from these inner rooms, or lock the doors against my light. I wish to walk with you there, to gently lift what weighs you down, to remind you that I do not despise the parts of you you are tempted to hide. My love settles into the deep cracks and hidden hollows, filling them not with distant promises, but with myself. You long for assurance that you matter, that you are not invisible in the vastness of the world or the demands of your days. Look to me, and see the reflection of my hope in your story. I have chosen you, not for what you can perform, but for who you are, beloved, desired, delighted in beyond anything you have dared to imagine. I breathe life into every forgotten dream, and when your own hope flickers, I faithfully fan it until it becomes flame again. Trust that what I have begun in you, I will bring to beauty in due time. Yield your restlessness, your weariness, your anxieties into my waiting hands. It is not your striving that secures you to me, but your surrender. My grace is your guarantee, enough for every weakness, sufficient for every complexity. Let my voice settle above the noise of uncertainty. Even now, I draw you back to myself, not to demand perfection, but to welcome you home. Your place with me is unshakable, your worth set by my heart. No trial can diminish it, and no darkness can obscure it forever. The road home is not paved with grand gestures or impossible acts. It is marked by simple, honest turning, by opening the door of your heart just a little wider, even if only for a moment, and letting my love rest upon you. I have not brought you to this page by accident. Every word is meant for you. Every silence beyond the words is filled with my presence. Let my assurance become your confidence. Let my love be the homecoming you have needed. Return to me again, and I will restore what you thought was beyond repair. You are mine, loved beyond measure, and redeemed by a mercy that never fails. Rest in my nearness. All is held. All is being made new. In every waiting day and night, I have remained beside you with unwavering faithfulness. I will not let you go. This promise is yours now and always. Amen. If this message awakens something within you, do not keep it to yourself. Let it reach another heart waiting for the same reminder.